Greetings in the name of Yeshua. Today I have some couple of messages. I'm doing two videos today. One on this particular topic, and it's not a good topic, but it is a topic that we need to address. I know that it's going to be controversial in some people's eyes. Unfortunately for them, the truth is out there and we need to abide by it. And what I'm talking about is God's condemnation or damnation of those who are in lust for each other's body and homosexuality. And the LGBTQ are pushing really seriously hard. I have information. I have documents here, 24 pages of demands that they're making on Biden to make changes to legitimize their movement around the world. And his statement during his campaign was that he was going to do just that. Further into this video, I'm going to read what their demands are and what they're pushing Biden to do, and if he becomes president. And I emphasize the word if strongly, because there is movement within the Trump actions to get all of these things into the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, SCOTUS, and SCOTUS will make a ruling, and I believe the ruling will be to throw out this election and take it to the House and have the president elected through that. Anyways, back to the topic. First, greetings to all. And what I want to share with you is something that I wrote in an article earlier, and it's a definition on a reprobate mind. And the article is called Having an Answer, and you can find it in my blog. And in this article, I'm saying, I'm going to read you some of it. And what I want to do is I'm setting this as the foundation for the information that I'm about to release to you through this video about the LGBTQ. I'm alerting all who read this article, take note, it predictably contains information warning Yeshua's believers and will to some be convicting and to others seen as offensive. But it is an answer to the question, are you ready to state your position in God's laws? Which I am. I am tired of hearing how sin in God's eyes is a good thing, especially knowing those involved do so through a reprobate mind. Now, you have to understand, I defined what a reprobate mind is because I wanted to know why the Lord put them in that position. The definition, and this is from the English dictionary, defined as being foreordained to damnation. Foreordained to damnation. Now, we know that when the Lord damns something, it goes on into eternity. It stands. It's not changeable. There's no coming out of it. That's it. Remember, God's words enter into eternity and have no end to them. So when he places those who follow this sin into a reprobate mind, their future has been defined. All right? So when he places people in a reprobate mind, their future is defined. Now, the movement, this LGBT movement, is trying to legitimize themselves as normal, as a family, around the world. They're trying to say they're legitimate. They're trying to say that everything that they do is the same as you and I, who are in a relationship with your wife and you have a family, you have children. No. One of the things that to me is despicable is the opportunity for them to adopt a child into this format, because this is the reason why they're trying to create family as being normal. Now, in the document that I have here, I want to read this to you because in January 2021, the Biden administration will inherit a presidency and executive branch nearly unrecognizable from the administration he left behind in 2016. As the COVID-19 crisis continues its stranglehold on the nation's health and economy, the Trump administration has continued its coordinated systemic attack on our nation's most sacred institutions, our courts, our Constitution, and our foundational civil rights statutes. Now, understand why they're saying this, because what it comes down to, and it goes back to this movement that I was talking about in the earlier videos, of this God forgives all sin, and there is no chastisement. The chastisement is what I just read to you, where he turned these people who are lusting after other people's bodies, the same-sex bodies, who are lusting after them, into a reprobate mind. So their punishment is already preset for them. When you make a choice and decide this is the walk that you're going to go into, this is what you're in. Now, what they're trying to do is get the world to accept them as being normal. I don't accept them as normal. I'm sorry, folks, but call it what you will. I don't accept them as being normal. Blueprint for positive, this is what their demands are, and this is what they're putting in front of Biden. I'm not going to read you all of it, but I'm going to give you some ideas of what it is, some idea of what it is that they're asking Biden to accommodate them with. Blueprint for Positive Change 2020 is a comprehensive list of 85 individual policy recommendations aimed at improving the lives of LGBTQ people. Recommendations include 1. Ensure consistent administrative implementation of Bostock and Clayton County across all agencies enforcing civil rights statutes and provisions. Revise restrictions on transgender individuals to return to an inclusive policy of military service. Establish an interagency working group to address anti-transgender violence. Appoint openly LGBTQ justices, judges, executive officials, and ambassadors. That one particularly stands out to me. Establish uniform data collection standards, incorporation sexual orientation and gender identity into federal surveys. Establish an interagency working group to protect and support LGBTQ rights globally. Globally, not just in the United States. End discrimination against gay and bisexual blood donors. That's a big one. Prohibit the practice of conversion therapy as a fraudulent business practice. Rescind and replace regulations restricting coverage of Section 1557 of the Affordable Care Act, and eliminate discrimination against beneficiaries in charitable choice and faith-based initiatives. These are just some of the things that this document holds that they're putting before Biden, and they want him to abide by it. They want him to enforce it. Now, further into this here, when I was reading it, it shocked me. I was in a sort of it disturbed me deeply, because what I'm seeing is that if Biden gets into power, and a lot of these people are hoping that he will, all of these things are going to be put into play. And what it does is it basically what it's doing is it's legitimizing their movement. It's legitimizing what their desires are. Now, what I'm trying to do is, if I keep looking down, it's because I'm trying to read this and I'm trying to find the page that it was talking about Biden in his promises when he was campaigning, promised to do just that. He promised to put this document, these 24 pages demands, those 85 demands, into place and make them active. That is a scary thought. Now, when you think about what's going on here, you begin to understand and recognize that this blueprint that they're talking about, how do they call it? The Blueprint for Positive Change 2020 is designed to offer a roadmap for the next administration to restore the federal commitment to this critically important work. The COVID-19 pandemic has exposed the systemic gaps in equality across populations, particularly vulnerable communities, especially Black and Latino communities. We find ourselves at a crossroads. Too many LGBTQ Americans continue to lack explicit legal protections under federal law. You know, I can't comment on that because we don't live in the United States. I don't know what the laws here are in Canada, how these people are treated, but I would imagine they're very similar. It's a list of 85 individual policy recommendations reaching across the federal government aimed at bettering the daily lives of this group. Now, they're urging the administration to end taxpayer-funded discrimination once and for all and to rescind Trump-backed policies that invite discrimination against LGBTQ people by federally funded grantees and contractors. We call on the federal government, and what it comes down to, and this is where what drew my attention to this, was that they're asking to defund and deregulate any Christian organization that is standing on biblical terms. In other words, refusing to incorporate LGBTQ into their academies, into their teachings, and all the rest of it. And what they're saying is that they want the federal government to cut off their fund and decertify them. That basically closes the doors on them. Or what it basically comes down to is that they're using these 85 conditions to coerce these agencies, these schools, these institutions, these learning institutions, into conforming to what they want or be cut off fund-wise or decertified. My thought process in this is I wonder how many are going to fold. I wonder how many are going to give in to the pressure of this. Understand the seriousness of it. Not only are they asking to be legitimized as normal, which they're not, their choice and decision is based on their own. Has nothing to do, they want everybody to believe that it's a chemical process, it's a medical thing. It isn't. It's a decision made by the individual. It's based in lust. And the Lord identified it. And he identified it very distinctly in Romans. And that's why he chose the decision that he made in order to put them over to a reprobate mind. Eternal damnation. He said, you want it? You have it. You've got it. Here's the consequence of what it is that you've chosen to do. In that choice, we see what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah. It was destroyed because it was an abomination in the Lord's eyes. And it wasn't just Sodom and Gomorrah. There were many other cities that were smaller cities that were in conjunction with that were destroyed as well. I'm going to end this here right now because basically the talk is on that, and I have very little more to say about it because I have to go through these 24 pages. I just printed them out. I haven't had a chance to read it all, but I did read some of it. And what concerns me is the appoint openly LGBTQ justices, judges, executive officials, and ambassadors. They're asking for that. And what they're saying is the administration should appoint a diverse array of qualified judges, executive officials, and ambassadors, including LGBTQ people and people from other marginalized communities. The administration should strive to appoint the first ever openly LGBTQ cabinet secretary and the first openly lesbian, bisexual, or transgender ambassador. Legitimation is all that comes down to. If you appoint these, we're legitimized in the eyes of the world. That's what it basically comes down to. Folks, we're under war. We're in a battle now. This is just the first salvos being shot. This is serious stuff. It's it goes back to when I'm reading the scriptures, it goes back to when Noah was preparing the ark and God was looking at man, and any imagination that was in their mind became alive. The world was full of sin. Our world is becoming the same. All the things that, whatever people can think of that is sinful, they're doing it. And the sad part of it is that there's people who are administering churches that have lost the Holy Spirit because they're allowing all of this nonsense to become a part of their holiness. And what it is basically is no enmity can be in the front of God. No enmity can be in a holy place that God abides in through the Holy Spirit. Once that enmity enters into that holy sanctity, it no longer is holy. The Holy Spirit is taken out. You're going to hear argument, oh, well, people can be forgiven, people change. A reprobate mind is eternal damnation, final judgment. We cannot draw God down to our level and say he's compassionate like we are compassionate and use that compassion as the means and basis to um, bring in people under that. We're not worshiping in the spirit, we're worshiping in emotions. And sadly, that's a road to damnation. Take care. Have God's blessings with you. Once I finish reading these 24 pages, I will do another video and I'll upload it and I'll have further discussion on it. I pray that the Lord be with you and show you discernment and knowledge.